Hey everyone, it's Mr. Hollywood, and today I'm doing a movie duel between Say Anything and 10 Things I Hate About You. Two of my favorite romance movies of all time, arguably my two favorite, and I have very identical thoughts to both of them. Now before I give you my thoughts on these two movies, feel free to share your thoughts on these two movies and which one you like more down below in the comments. And let's start by talking about these two amazing movies. So, Say Anything and 10 Things I Hate About You are both movies I watched for the first time last year. And, they're just both amazing high school dramas. Say Anything is about people who are graduating high school. Actually, well, both in both of these cases, these movies are actually, like, the lead characters are seniors and then graduate. But yeah, for Say Anything, it's about high schoolers who are graduating, and of course, given that these are rom-coms, of course there is definitely romance involved. And the lead character, who's played by John Cusack, who I was just talking about him quite a bit yesterday in my Stand By Me review. And yeah, John Cusack in the late 80s was just amazing. But yeah, so he has a crush on this popular girl who has a very mysterious life, to say the least, and throughout the film, he wants to really get to know her, but he also has to navigate, living with his sister being a single mom, and also the fact that her parents are divorced, and her dad maybe isn't the person that you think throughout the film. And there definitely is a lot of conflict within both characters, and I think both actors did a great job. And 10 Things I Hate About You is really resolved around Kat and Patrick's senior year. And throughout the film, there's definitely a lot of conflict within Kat as she wants to go to college out of state. Her father is a single dad of two, and she navigates a lot of drama with her sister while also navigating Joey. Joey is one of the classic high school bullies in pop culture. And yeah, Joey is definitely not a good influence throughout the film. And the main conflict throughout the film is that Joey wants to get with Bianca after we learn that, later in the film, that he used to be in a relationship with Kat, but it didn't go very well. And Kat is like one of the only girls in her grade that doesn't date. And then Patrick comes along. And Joey is paying Patrick a lot of money to get with Kat so he can get with Bianca, because one of the rules that we learn, or that Kat and Bianca's father made, is that Bianca can't date until Kat dates. And that is a very interesting plot line in the film. And then Patrick really doesn't want anything to do about it at first. But he gets paid all this money, and naturally throughout the film, Patrick gets very interested in Kat, where at first it was only really just for the money, but then as the film went on, it was way more than just for the money. He actually started to like her. And Cameron was a new kid that came in the mix who really likes Bianca, and who did all of this, basically did a lot for Bianca. Such as learning French for Bianca. And he was also played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who is a fantastic actor. I think he's one of the most underrated actors. And, we really saw young Joseph Gordon-Levitt and young Heath Ledger and young Julia Stiles. And yeah, in both of these films, the cast is really loaded, and there was a lot of young talent involved. And yeah, throughout the film, I feel like the conflict in both films is just extremely exciting, and I found the plots very compelling. And I do think it perfectly shows the awkwardness of being a teenager. And I feel like, given that I'm in 11th grade, and I'm in 11th grade now, and I was in 11th grade when I watched both of these films for the first time, it felt like I was actually at the right age. It felt like I was at the perfect age to really, appreciate this film, other than just this being a high school drama. Because, there's some other high school dramas, like Mean Girls, that I saw when I was in 7th grade. Which, 7th grade is actually a grade that I was not a fan of, to say the least. And, well, actually, 7th grade was the year before I started doing YouTube, and 7th grade is definitely very intense in its own way. But yeah, high school is really the big stage. And yeah, in both 10 Things I Hate About You and Say Anything, the lead characters kind of have to overcome, some shenanigans, and I think that's really interesting to see, because you really see the obstacles that could really hold them back. And, I think both of these films are very well acted. I would say, if I had to give the slight nod, I'd probably give it to 10 Things I Hate About You for acting, partially because of just Heath Ledger alone. And, I also do think Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles did have a little bit better chemistry than John Cusack, and I honestly forgot the actress who played Diane, who was the girl that Lloyd was the character's name. That was the character that Lloyd really liked. And I feel like I've been talking a lot about 10 Things I Hate About You. One thing I found really interesting about Say Anything is that Lloyd, he's navigating all this conflict, but he's also navigating kind of his own internal battles. And then, Diane is going out of the wants to go out of the country for college, and then Lloyd doesn't appear to be wanting to go out of the country for college, and yeah, he's navigating all this internal conflict, while with Diane, her parents are divorced, and there's a lot of sketchiness going on with her father, who, as we found out in the film, her father wasn't exactly a good person, because her father worked at a health care place, and then he was a thief. He stole all this money, and it was definitely really intense to watch. And then by the end, he ends up going to jail. And then, honestly, the ending of Say Anything, though, was a really good ambiguous ending, because you see Lloyd and Diane on a plane, and then it cuts, which I think is a really interesting ambiguous ending. And I do think, it was a great ending. And yeah, the conflict throughout the film, in some ways, you could argue, is a little more interesting than conflict in 10 Things I Hate About You. But, in both films, the conflict is really interesting to see. Now, when it comes to 10 Things I Hate About You, eventually, Bianca and Cameron do go to prom together at the end of the film, which, speaking of prom, I'm literally going to prom on Saturday. Actually, I went to two. It will actually add up to the 2 proms this year, because I went to another prom 2 weeks ago. Though this prom is actually 3 times bigger than my previous prom. But yeah, by the end of 10 Things I Hated About You, Cameron and Bianca go to prom. Kat and Patrick go to prom. Joey then sells Patrick out, as he wasn't able to successfully get Bianca to like him. And then Kat becomes really hurt with Patrick, because she felt like this was all kind of a scheme, which it definitely was a scheme. But the ending with her poem about 10 Things I Hate About You, her ending speech, it was really powerful. And then, honestly, the ending with Patrick getting Kat the guitar, and then the camera just cutting, it was definitely very powerful. And honestly, just kind of the idea of really not knowing what's going to happen next, because Kat's going to college. By the end of the film, we don't really know what Patrick's up to, but I mean, the idea of what will really happen next, it's also kind of left to our interpretation. And like every Heath Ledger movie and River Phoenix movie, as I said yesterday, I mean, the end of 10 Things I Hate About You feels very bittersweet because of what happened to Heath Ledger in real life. I mean, he was like very young when this movie came out. Well, actually, a lot of them were very young when this movie came out. But yeah, he was like 20 when this movie came out. And yeah, it was definitely really, I mean, it's really sad considering he had so much potential. He was an amazing actor at a young age. And then his career was cut short, as we all know. And so yeah, I mean, the end of 10 Things I Hate About You, it's really bittersweet. But yeah, I mean, both movies I think are beautifully made. However, which one do I like more? I mean, I have very similar thoughts from both of them. However, even though I would say I only like this film a little more, it is still a little more like, I clearly like it more. I will say I like 10 Things I Hate About You more. However, Say Anything is still an amazing movie. Both are movies I would highly recommend if you haven't seen it. But yeah, I do like 10 Things I Hate About You a little more than Say Anything. Now, thanks for watching. Feel free to share which one you like more down below in the comments. And this is day 9 of my 200-day posting streak goal. Now, thanks for watching, and peace out.